Everett, and welcome back to All About Sports. Today we're going to discuss the crowded AFC playoff picture where the Kansas City Chiefs clinched home field advantage in a bye the first round, while the Pittsburgh Steelers and Buffalo Bills have clinched their respectable divisions. However, a 10-win team will not make the playoffs this year in the AFC, and even possibly an 11-win team. And the last time this has happened was the 2015 Jets, who went 10-6. I'm your host, Luca Vitale, and joining me is Drew Westland. Drew, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. It's an honor to be here.
Anytime, Drew. All right, so let me ask you this question. Which AFC team will miss out on this year's playoffs?
Oh, man. I got to say, this season, it's crazy because of all the 10-win teams that are on the bubble. It's pretty hard to see, which team's going to be the odd man out, whether it's Indianapolis, Tennessee, Baltimore, Miami, or Cleveland. Those are all the teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so the possibilities for this weekend are endless.
Right.
But, me being the guy that I am and being a little kid screwing around on the ESPN playoff machine, I've ran my fair share of tests, and looking at all the data, look, I love my man, Ethan Pollock, over at Just Talking About Sports with me. I know he's a huge Dolphins guy, but the way things are going to turn out, I think the Miami Dolphins are going to be the odd team out here, because you got 4 spots up for grabs. There are 5 teams in, and just like with the matchups and the way the teams have been playing, I don't see Miami making the playoffs. And it's a shame because they've had a really good year. I like what Brian Flores is doing. Mm-hmm. I like Tua as a quarterback. But they're going into Buffalo, and Buffalo is arguably the hottest team in the NFL right now. Like, that Miami defense, really good. But can they stop or at least slow Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs enough to come out on top? Because they are in the playoffs with a win, right, or a Ravens, Browns, or Colts loss.
Right.
However, the matchup for those 3 remaining teams, I think those are all winnable games for all 3. Baltimore playing Cincinnati, which that's definitely a winnable game. Cleveland is playing Pittsburgh without Ben Roethlisberger, so I feel like that takes a lot of pressure off. And Indianapolis is having their rematch against Jacksonville from the first matchup in the season, which they lost. So I think they'll be out to exact revenge for that game. But considering that, I think those 3 teams win their game, and I don't think Miami comes out of Buffalo with a win. I think that Miami is the odd team out in this AFC playoffs.
I will respectfully disagree with you. I see where you are coming from. We know what Tua Tagovailoa can do on the field. We know he's staying within the confines of just throwing short. He's just doing short throws. He's getting to the next man, Jasicki, Devontae Parker, just Jakeem Grant, any of those guys that are wide open. We get that. They have a running game in Myles Gaskin. We see it. They have a great defense in Van Noy, Van Ginkel. You got Xavier Howard. We see that. They have a great defense. We understand that. But the thing is, Ryan Fitzmagic is going to be out this Saturday because of the positive COVID-19 test. And from Ryan Fitzpatrick, we all know, is not afraid to throw that ball downfield. We have not seen that from Tua Tagovailoa yet. We have not seen it. So that's where I am a little worried for Miami. But Miami is not going to be my answer. And Brian Flores is a strong candidate for Coach of the Year.
Absolutely.
Down. But my answer has to do with another strong candidate of Coach of the Year, and that'll be Kevin Stefanski, and that will be the Cleveland Browns, who will be missing the playoffs this year. And that really, it hurts for me to say that because these fans have been waiting since 2002. Okay, it has been a long, long time. Okay. I understand what the Browns were last year under Freddie Kitchens. They were an absolute disaster in the regression we saw under Baker Mayfield. I think he had like 20 plus interceptions last year. That was not a good season for him. But we have seen the job Kevin Stefanski has done with the Cleveland Browns this first season this far. He's getting Baker Mayfield to the next level. He's utilizing the running game correctly, using the most out of the receivers, where he's creating a culture where that wasn't there before. But Cleveland is playing Pittsburgh. And I understand that Big Ben is not playing, that Mason Rudolph is starting. We know that. But the starters in terms of receivers for Pittsburgh, I believe they are still going to play. In that defense, we cannot be questioning this defense. This is a top 5 defense. I mean, you see TJ Watt. You see, I mean, yeah, we have Spillane's out. You have Bush is out. You got the other guy. I can't remember his name right now, but you have Minka Fitzpatrick still there. I mean, these are guys that are tough. They're coming off the edge or second. The quarterback, we see when it matters the most. And when I'm going to, before I give it back to you, Cleveland happens to have a defense. Yeah, they got Myles Garrett. Yes, they have BG Goodson. Yes, they got Denzel Ward. But the problem is they do not step up when it matters the most. And we saw that against Baltimore, and they ultimately lost that game.
You know what? I can see where you're coming from. And that would have been my next answer if Miami finds a way to sneak in. But Cleveland is coming off of a loss to the Jets, to the horrible Jets.
Right.
And we understand that was a horrible game by Cleveland standards, by Baker Mayfield standards. Like they were just completely out of it. I feel like this game against Pittsburgh is going to be very low scoring. I feel like it's going to be a defensive battle, which you're right. Pittsburgh has arguably one of the best defenses in the entire NFL, and that cannot be understated. But my questions, like even with the wide receiver talent of Pittsburgh, Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, James Washington, even Eric Ebron at the tight end position, that's all well and good. But as I know with my Green Bay Packers, if the quarterback is not there, you can have all the wide receiver talent in the world. And it might not mean much if the guy under center can't exactly get it done. And I certainly have my questions about Mason Rudolph, like especially playing last year. Like I understand he has a giant helmet-sized dent in his head from when Myles Garrett absolutely clobbered him the last time these two guys met. But the way he played last year, I mean, they had to turn it over to Duck Hodges for a little bit. I just have my doubts, about Mason Rudolph. And I understand they want to rest Ben Roethlisberger because they have the 2 or 3 seed locked up. Right. They have a home playoff game. So it makes sense.
Right.
But for Mason Rudolph's sake, like, can he lead that team, as talented as it is, past Cleveland? And it's in Cleveland, I believe. Right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in Cleveland. The dog pound will be rocking. I just don't know if Mason Rudolph will be able to carry this Pittsburgh team to victory.
Well, let me tell you this. We just look at the Cleveland Browns, right? Last weekend, I understand they were down Jarvis Landry, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and then you had a bunch of other receivers. What's his name? Rashad Higgins. He was out too. And those are Baker Mayfield's best receivers he has at his disposal. We know that. I mean, they were just compromised last weekend. And it doesn't help the fact that Kevin Stefanski did not have.
I believe they were also down some offensive, like two starting offensive linemen, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, they were. You have a good point with that. But the problem is when you are down those many people, you got to have a different game plan. The game plan was just terrible. Okay. Yeah. Baker Mayfield took accountability. He had 3 turnovers. We saw that. I think two of them are fumbles, I believe. I think that's what it was. But the problem is the defense had to play a better game that game. Simple as that. Because I noticed what the Jets have done now. They have 2 victories this season, once against the Rams and one against the Cleveland Browns. Both are on the verge of possibly missing the playoffs. You see what happens when you lose to the New York Jets. That's exactly what happens. And the thing is, you had to win against the Jets, and you would have simply had a playoff ticket in. But now you have a couple of possibilities. You beat the Steelers, which I simply just do not see. You lose to the Ravens, which they are not losing to the Bengals. The Dolphins lose, which you have to win and the Dolphins lose. That's possible. Or you win and the Colts lose. The Colts ain't losing the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't see that either. So your best bet is you win the game and the Dolphins lose. Okay, that's your best bet. So that's what I would say, but I just do not see it. Yes, I've been a huge critic of Baker Mayfield this entire season, but lately he has been that Heisman Trophy winner that we saw in college. He has been that quarterback with accuracy. He has been making those good decisions. And lately, I mean, he has been something that we have not expected. I don't think there should be any question marks that he remains in Cleveland next season or not.
No, I agree. Baker Mayfield has played excellent over these past few weeks. But like the game plan against the Jets, let's be real. You have arguably the most explosive 1-2 punch in the league with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I mean,
Mhm.
you have them both locked down, until like this year, next year, like the year after that. You have them both locked down for the future. But you ask Baker Mayfield with a COVID depleted wide receiver room to throw the football 50 plus times.
Yeah.
I, Kevin Stefanski has done a really good job with like play calling and offensive scheme all year, getting the best out of the Browns with the loads of offensive talent that they have. But I don't understand Baker throwing it 50 plus times. I just don't understand that pass heavy attack.
Yeah, me
And
neither. I don't understand it. Yeah.
it wasn't really a recipe for success.
Mhm.
And I agree with you. The defense absolutely has to step up, but like against the Jets where you had Jamison Crowder throwing touchdown passes, Sam Darnold looked really good, better than he has in weeks. But where we differ is whether Cleveland can step up against Pittsburgh.
And I don't think they can defensively.
And I think they can.
Defensively. I will say defensively. Offensively, I can see it. But defensively, what I am trying to say is that clutch time, they didn't do it last week against the Jets. They didn't do it against the Ravens. And when it matters the most, clutch time, you have to step up. I don't care who's playing or not. I mean, they're going to be down Denzel Ward, I believe, this weekend. So that's a big loss from at the cornerback position. You're going to have Myles Garrett rushing off the edge. You have to have BG Goodson on there, Taki in the secondary. And then you have Pittsburgh's defense to worry about getting to Baker Mayfield with that offensive line being depleted as it is right now. So you have a big problem. I believe in Pittsburgh's defense more. I believe in the Browns defense. It's that simple to me. Offensively, I do not have question marks for them, but defensively, I do.
No, that makes sense. Like, and I understand why you pick Cleveland to be the odd man out. But, like I'm saying Miami because like the matchup for them is just worse than it is not easy to waltz into Buffalo and come away with a victory. And
oh yeah,
even and like because nobody is going to be able to do that. Like those winter towns, like in January, Buffalo, Green Bay, as much as I hate to keep mentioning it, but it's true. It's hard to play in the cold weather, a lot of snow when it comes to December and January. And Miami, it's Miami, Florida. So, and even if like, I understand I'm jumping the gun here, let's just say they do pull out a win against Buffalo.
Okay.
They're going to go back and do it again because I think they have to turn around and then play Buffalo again in the wild card.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, or at least that's a distinct possibility that could happen.
Correct.
I don't see Miami having the firepower to do it once, let alone twice. And I guess my faith in Cleveland is strong enough as it's been all year to where I think they can shock you and beat Pittsburgh.
Oh, I kind of hope they shock me. I mean, it's not like I am sitting right here praying that Cleveland loses. In fact, I am proud of them. Like, no one thought Cleveland was going to be this good, and no one thought Miami was going to be.
Same thing with Miami.
Yeah, no, they're a year ahead schedule. We all know this. Like, I mean, to be fair, let's look at Miami again. Like you mentioned the weather conditions, right? We all know Buffalo is cold, it's snowy, it's like 20 degrees there. And then you go to Miami, Florida, you got your Versace shades on, and like it's nice and warm down there, the sun all nice and all that. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. The Versace shades. Tua Tagovailoa, I don't think has ever played in Buffalo, New York. Okay. And remember this time around, there is no Fitz magic helping him on the tablet on the sidelines. Okay.
That's another thing I didn't mention that I should have.
Exactly. And I understand that. So you have a good, valid point. Okay. I'm not disagreeing with that at all because you have a valid point. So the thing is, this will give us an idea of who Tua Tagovailoa really is. I believe in Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, hopefully he's not Fitz-tragic in the playoffs if they make the playoffs, because none of us want that, because we all love Ryan Fitzmagic. We all do.
He has the heart of a plumber.
Yeah. So yeah, if they get to the playoffs, it's going to be interesting because the defense has to be prepared for two quarterbacks, one that has the ability to escape the pocket and extend plays, and another that ain't afraid to launch it down the field.
All right, but
So,
Fitzpatrick isn't afraid to stick his nose into a pile and dive in there either.
yeah, he's not afraid to do that either, except he's not one of those quarterbacks that's just going to like, okay, I'm going to run for 15 yards.
No, he's not Lamar Jackson or even Tua with his legs.
Right.
But hey, he can still get the job done if
Right.
he's the old man that can scramble for 10 or 15 if you need him to.
Yeah, that will conclude this segment. Drew, thanks for joining me today.
Of course.
Everyone, thanks for tuning in for All About Sports. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel, and we will see you around.